You have entered the Chronic's rabbit hole, and Chronicans, welcome back to the channel. We are doing an Auri interview with Johanna Kurkela, Tuomas Holopainen, and Troy Donockley. And this is part 1 and part 2, and this interview is done by Face Culture. I am beyond excited to see these three interact with each other with this interview. I've never seen Johanna and Tuomas actually talk together, so I'm really excited to see their chemistry and their relationship. I know Tuomas and Troy obviously have a funny, good relationship. I've seen more of that, so I'm excited to see all three of them and why these three chose to actually do Auri together, because obviously Tuomas and Johanna and Troy all know amazing artists and people around the world. So to pick these three to make this amazing Auri project, I'm very excited to see what Face Culture asks these people, as Tuomas, Troy, and Johanna are people we would love to interview on this channel as well. So I like to do these interviews to kind of learn how people ask questions, what they like, what they don't like, and just to learn more about them in general so that I have more knowledge myself. I know you guys always have so much knowledge as well, so let me know in the comments below if you want to see more of these type of interviews on the channel, as well as seeing more Auri come down the rabbit hole with some songs. We've done about, I think, 3 of them, so I would definitely love to see more Auri. But without further ado, this is part 1.
So, first things first, how are you?
Splendid, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you.
Wonderful.
So, before we dive into the album, I'd like to begin somewhere else. Do you have a couple of favorite movie soundtracks?
Sure, dozens of them.
Yeah. Oh, nice question. So you see the eyes light right off the bat, and this interviewer definitely has background knowledge, knowing how much Tuomas loves his movie scores, and just look at all 3 of them just smiles and are ready to answer this, and I think that's the sign of this is going to be a great interview. Very excited.
Like at the moment or all time?
All time, let's go.
All
for
time.
Favourite film soundtrack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Favourite film soundtrack? If you have to pick one.
Oh, not one. Could we
that's
pick
tough.
more than one?
Well,
Can we pick 2?
okay, let's go for 2 then. 2.
All right.
How about 3?
Give him a lifeline.
3 is pushing it, I suppose.
Is it? Yeah, you're right. Let's just
Yeah.
stick with 2.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tricky
I'll
one.
go for The Village by James Newton Howard
Yeah, I love
Wow.
and The Gladiator by Hans Zimmer and
Gladiator.
Lisa Gerrard.
Oh my god, yes. That makes me want to watch The Gladiator, and that is one of the best soundtracks ever. Hands down. Nice pick.
These are
I'm gonna
still
say
yours.
those 2. Yeah.
Say
Were
what?
they?
I know. Yeah. Well,
Okay, so you can get 1 extra then if you
Literally, he picked the same one Johanna would have picked. That's why they're together, y'all. Oh man, they're so cute already.
both of
Fair
those.
enough.
all right. Well, in addition to those 2, I'll have to say Danny Elfman's Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's version. You know.
Of course.
Really? The Tim
of
Burton's
course.
version?
Oh, it's really hard for me.
Wow.
The first record I ever bought was the soundtrack for Jaws.
Oh
So,
my god,
I
no
was about
way.
11 or something, maybe 10. So definitely Jaws. Second one.
Jaws, Troy? Really? That's the first thing you bought was the Jaws soundtrack. Oh my god, this guy is so damn interesting.
On might be the score from Witness, which really hit me when I first heard it. It was like electronica, but it was really
Don't know
amazing.
Witness.
Who wrote it?
Ennio Morricone.
Morricone?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Harrison Ford's
yeah,
Witness.
Harrison Ford.
I didn't know
I
that.
bought it on vinyl, and it's amazing. And Blade Runner, of course.
Okay.
And Blade Runner, hell
Because
yeah.
you
You
say
slipped in 3 there.
I did. Sorry.
I just love, you can see their connection to why these 3 picked to do a project together, and just the energy, and their walls are so down already, and I love that because I've seen interviews where they have their walls up right off the bat, but this guy just knew the right question just to break the ice, because obviously you're trying to promote an album. That's something I've learned as an interviewer, but you also want to have fun and have it just a straight up conversation of other passions as well, because these are humans, y'all.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
you say it kind of hit me, and with the 2 of you as well. What did movie soundtracks do to you when you first heard them? And especially with something like Gladiator. Or...
They make so much of the film itself. For example, the case with The Village, which is, I think, my desert island film. but half of
Really?
it is the soundtrack, which is so otherworldly beautiful and fitting to the thematics and the storyline of the film that it's just beautiful. Same goes with the Jaws, for example.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
hell yeah.
The music is such a big part of the film.
Massive part. It's well, Spielberg himself said it's the main character.
It is the main character. Oh yeah.
That theme. But it was like that. Funnily enough, it was when I bought Jaws, when I bought the soundtrack for Jaws when I was 10, the film wasn't actually out. So I hadn't seen the film. And I listened to nothing but the Jaws soundtrack every day, all day.
And you never even
So when I
seen
went
the
to see
shark.
the film, it was really weird because it was back to front.
Weird.
But what it proves is that, like Auri, again, because it's part of us, is that you make your own stories and visuals to the music, which is what happened to me with Jaws. And then when I saw Jaws, it was like, oh, that isn't what I imagined. So,
Wow, eh?
yeah.
Then, well, you mentioned or you touched upon an interesting thing where kind of you create a narrative in your mind. So when you write music now, and especially looking towards Auri, was there a narrative you had in mind? Was there a story, a visual image in mind?
Sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I mean, everything was inspired by something.
Yeah, that's a way that I always, when I write songs for whatever group or project, I never just jam. Okay, this sounds good. So what might this riff or melody be about? It's always the other way around. You have to be inspired by a certain theme, story, emotion, whatever.
Right.
And after that, you start searching for the perfect melodies, chords, soundscapes
And
to
atmosphere,
complement that story that you want to bring into the light.
That's exactly the same way for me.
And there's nothing wrong with doing it the other way around.
Thanks, Tuomas, for saying that, because I know when I make my music, I usually make the riff first, and then I try to put the story around it, just to see, like, hey, making this riff, what does this produce in my mind for images, and then let's go off of that. So it's awesome to know that they're doing it the other way and taking it from them. I think that might be the best way to make music, is to have the idea, to have the art kind of already in your mind, and like what you kind of want to push through spiritually even. So that's really cool to know that's how they do it, especially Tuomas.
No.
I know bands like Pantera did almost all of their albums in the rehearsal room, just jamming, and it sounds brilliant.
There you go,
it's just
right?
not the way I function.
And
Yeah,
likewise.
well, like, you're more of a storyteller, Tuomas, and I'm glad that he brought up Pantera as a band that, like me, just likes to make those dirty-ass riffs and then kind of build off of that. And that is a way to make music, and it can still sound amazing. But with Pantera, I don't think you're having the same type of philosophical thoughts and all that kind of go through your body when you're experiencing the music, where it's more just like, this is real music as well, and we're just jamming to it. So that's really cool that he brought up Pantera there too.
I don't either.
So am I right in saying that Troy, you started kind of this whole thing off with writing?
Not quite, no.
Okay.
It was we all really wanted to work with each other on music,
Cool.
going way back to 2009 maybe. 2009, 2010. We were big fans of Johanna, me and Tuomas, before we met her as well.
Right.
So we've always been hovering around waiting for the moment.
So that's cool. So Troy and Tuomas were admirers of Johanna before Tuomas and Johanna got together. See, this is why I love these interviews, because you get to find out so much more, and something I never hear asked when seeing all the Tuomas interviews that I've seen is about Johanna and how they got together and all that too. And I think it's really inspiring, because I know when you get to be with someone like a Johanna, for Tuomas, how much of her creative spark would help Tuomas just in life in general. I know what Alanna's done for me. I'm already a creative person, but now since being with Alanna, which is over there sleeping, she's just gave so much more enthusiasm and creativity in my juices, so that I actually can flow a lot better because of her. So I find that really interesting.
To begin Auri, but definitely the seeds were sown with the song Aphrodite Rising, which me and Johanna worked on. I wrote the song for Johanna, for Johanna's voice, and and that was that. We placed that in a little box, and went, we will use that sometime soon, hopefully. And it just sat there, but it was always waving at us and saying, "I'm here."
I'm ready.
And we all knew Aphrodite Rising was there, and from that, we eventually found the time, in between all of our commitments to other things, to take that out of the box and then add lots of other bits to go with it, so it wasn't so lonely.
What I love about Troy too, and Nightwish in general, is Nightwish has so many people in their band that could be like that perfect interviewer, where for me, I always think it's just the lead singer that could be a really good interviewee. And just seeing Troy, Tuomas, I know Marco, Floor, all these people are so amazing at interviews. That means their stage presence and being a front person, they can do it. As we've seen Troy, just like before a song, will say something hilarious before he starts on his flute. And it's just nice to see how much charisma really Troy has.
So before we continue on this, for Tuomas and Troy, what was it about Johanna's voice then, or singing that captivated you?
What about
Effortlessness, the freedom of the sound, the beauty of it, everything.
Yeah,
everything. It was never, not once forced.
Yeah, that's it. It always struck me as that it's a really rare thing, but the purity of it, and it's like an infinite undriven field of snow with sunlight blazing on it. The way she shouldn't be in the room, Alan. Yeah, put your. But
exactly, she's getting some ego right now, inflating the head, and she couldn't even look at these two when she couldn't look at Tuomas when he started talking about her, and then she was able to at least look at Troy a little bit there. But you could just see their love and connection that they have, and it's magical, really.
Plus, she, without sounding too mystical, she is the female voice of me and him, and our instruments are the male voices of her. So we're all.
I like that.
That if I could sing, if I was a woman, I would want to sound like Johanna.
Right.
That's because that's me. You know, that sound she makes is me.
So for
And
you,
vice versa.
Yeah, the music
you know,
that's
the
coming
music.
off of you
The
is
music
the music
offers,
that I
yeah.
hear inside me.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that. Like, and that's what I love about their connection. Like, look at even Johanna and Troy's connection, where they're like, even without Tuomas, your voice is what I would want to sound like if I was a female. And now Johanna is saying like, well, the music you're making is what I would want to be making myself. So that's why they're such a perfect fit. And then Tuomas's mastermind mixed with all this. Oh my God, no wonder this became a thing.
Really.
All of the harmony, all of the structures, all of that stuff. It's all from that.
was this immediately evident then, as soon as you kind of got to know each other? Or did it come throughout the years, this kind of connection?
No, it was immediate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More or less it was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was immediate, which was why Auri was an instant plan.
Right.
It was like, we've got to do this.
Wonder why they picked Auri.
Yeah.
And Johanna, for you then, and I suppose you knew about Nightwish, but what did you think about the music? Back in 2009?
Yeah, like we talked, we've been fans of each other forever, ever since we got to hear the first note. The music that we've made, it's just instantaneously the feeling of home struck me. Listening to
Nice.
Troy's Madness of Crowds or Nightwish, it's something that's really hard to put into words.
Right.
That, when you meet somebody that you just met, but you feel like you've known them your whole life, like they're that familiar. There is that sense of, like, it's easy to be with one another, and you share the same, thought patterns and loves in life. Like, you appreciate the same things and really have the mutual way to look at things and appreciate life and such.
So I suppose
I didn't know what Troy was doing before Nightwish, and I didn't know what Johanna was really doing before she got together and doing Auri, and we're starting to see more of Johanna's solo career. But to know how much they enjoyed each other's sounds on all the projects that they were working at before they got together just makes me think of how many of these artists are really admiring all these other bands that are around and trying to find ways to collaborate because of just the connection that they have as friends as well, just as humans. And something we always forget about with all these famous people and these artists is they're all just humans too, and they kind of just want to do stuff together and have fun. So that's why it was just such an easy thing for them. With you could just see it, all their love for each other, and to finally get together, that's incredible. It makes me think what else they're gonna have in store.
this goes beyond the music alone. And then, did you have conversations before continuing on this album? Did you talk about kind of what you felt about
all
the
the
album?
time? Yeah, definitely. I mean, we spend a lot of time having adventures together. Anyway,
Right.
we have parties and we go to places and have fun and drink fine wines and talk about music and life and all the things that we love. So it was natural that Auri, because it's part of us, we would talk about that. And it helped us crystallize our direction as well. You know, to always remind ourselves that Auri's in the box over there, and we'll get it out.
We need to get
at
it
some
out.
point.
I'm glad they
So
did.
can you take me through one of those conversations, especially in terms of the music? Because you say almost instantly it was you felt each other's music. It was kind of the same. So what were those conversations like?
One thing I must say, and what's really hard when you're interviewing multiple people is, as you're saying, it's like, who wants to take this question? As an interviewer, you almost have to ask a specific person that question so it's not so open-ended, just to help the flow going a little quicker, something I have learned. But I think this interviewer is doing an incredible job. I'm surprised why you needed a part 1 and part 2 for only 15 minutes or less for each part. That's besides the point, though. This is incredible.
I don't know, what do you think?
Exactly.
It's so natural to us. It's like we don't even remember. It's like
it's just meant to be.
Of course you do it this way. It's so it's like second nature. We all know what to do, and I think it's like really hard for me, at least, to remember or try to pick
I
out the
can't
moments.
remember a special occasion because we do it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's there all the time whenever we're together.
Yeah. I think that's the.
I can't really give you an example.
But in that sense, then, was
Yeah,
this?
that's what I mean. That was a weird question, but also, is Johanna British? Please let me know. This sounds a bit British to me.
The easiest record
Her
you've
accent.
made?
By a mile.
I think it
Sorry, I
was.
missed the question.
That's the.
I can't really give you an example.
But in that sense, then, was this the easiest record you've made?
By a mile.
I think it was.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
For sure, yeah, definitely for me.
yeah.
And it's such a rare thing to view music the same way, to feel about music the same way, and
Yeah.
love the same sounds, the same approaches to music. I mean, that is something that I always stumble upon making music with other people.
Right.
Is that there is always this one thing or two or a plethora of things that we see differently about. And it's always about making compromises between other people about the end result. But here it was just, from the get-go, it was like, you know, this is our home and this is what it looks like, and we all agreed and we knew what it looked like. Like, it's really hard to explain, but
Right.
Yeah, I think you explained it perfectly there, because you all get inspired by the muse to make music, and when you're getting inspired, something's just going to come out, and they all are in the same wavelength when making this, and it's really hard to make music with people, y'all, even if you love the person and you admire them. I know when we were interviewing Marcella, she told us about the time when she was in a band with one of her idols and one of her friends, Anneke, and the band was Ver, but they had differences in opinion of how to execute their music, where they ended up splitting up and Marcella left. But these three, it's almost harder to explain why the music works because it just works. You don't need to really explain that. It's like, no, that does sound good here. Let's keep that. And they're all flowing the same way. So really you just got to let the music do the talking half the time in here and just enjoy it, because you know you're all in the same pattern. And that is like Johanna's saying, it's so hard to find, because even just jamming with some people is difficult, let alone making an album.
You know.
And from the moment of get-go until having the finished album in our hands, it was about 6 months.
Yeah.
Of really relaxed recording too. It was not like we were doing it all the time.
We didn't have a deadline or anything. We didn't have a.
And 6 months. It was a really short time.
It was unbelievable. It was a veritable cyclone of creativity that we were hit by once we opened the door to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, right.
The songs just came.
It was non-stop.
I love how Troy talks and describes things. A cyclone of creativity came upon them, and you just kept going with it. Yet it was so controlled and it went so smooth. No deadlines. That's just meant to be.
Recording's really easy, and mixing really easy. Everything.
Plus, all three of us couldn't wait to
Get it out.
work on it.
Yeah.
All the time. I didn't stop. You know, I was so driven by it.
Immersion is the thing.
Immersion.
And I love that state of mind.
Yeah.
No matter what project, but the fact that you eat and breathe
and when you look at the
24/7,
and time's completely.
time is meaningless.
Yes.
And everything you do during the day in your ordinary life has something to do with that. It's in the back of your head, itching all the time.
Yes.
The ultimate immersion, and I just love that state of mind.
So do I.
And Tuomas, am I right in saying that you especially were looking for this kind of state of mind? Because as Nightwish you were taking a break, and did you struggled a bit with kind of creativity, but this helps again?
I don't know what's the best way to put it, but the fact is that since finishing the Endless Form's Most Beautiful album in 2015, it took me until the realization of Auri album to get excited over writing stuff for Nightwish again.
Wow.
I never felt like I was struggling because I didn't feel like I needed to do anything. I knew there was an off year coming and we had no schedule, no deadlines, so I just kind of let it be. Every now and then I would try and go in front of my keyboard, see if there's anything, and there wasn't really nothing. But then this Auri thing happened and I felt really excited. Okay,
Nice.
let's do this. And half a year later, when we got it finished,
No kidding, so fast.
all heaven broke loose.
All heaven broke loose.
That's it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and ever since last October until this day, I've been heavily immersed with some new Nightwish stuff, and it feels brilliant. It's a bit of a relief even, that it's still there.
Wow. I am loving this interview so far. All heaven broke loose. What a perfect way to say that instead of all hell broke loose, because yeah, the feeling that you get from Auri opposed to other metal stuff and all that is a heavenly sound, and that's the perfect way to say it. And to know that they formed Auri right after Endless Form's Most Beautiful, which I believe was Floor's first Nightwish album, and they had that long period before the next album did come out. So to know he was lacking in the creativity flow for Nightwish itself, then to get this project with Troy and Johanna, get it done in half a year and not rush, and to just be in that flow of immersion, because there's really nothing better than being fully immersed in life and the projects that you're in, where every single second that goes by you're thinking about, how can I improve this, what am I going to do next? And it's not in a nagging way. It's like, no, I'm just so eager to get this out because we want people to experience heaven. And as he said, it got loose. Look what it did for them. Their flow is even better now. And then jumping into Nightwish, just having that moment after that, then Human Nature came out, and you can see it. Like, Human Nature is almost a continuation of bloody Auri. I must say, it sounds so much like Auri mixed with Nightwish. It's a nice blend, and I really think Tuomas owes a lot to Troy and Johanna for helping him stay in that creative flow. And we all need those people. Like I said, when Alanna came, I wasn't making any music myself, but then when she came into my life, now I'm actually making music. We're doing reaction channels. We have a kid. We're creating and flowing now. And we all need that person in your life that helps you get through, even in a mastermind like Tuomas, who is going to that keyboard and can't even make a lick. Now he has this moment with his friends, and now he can put out another album as he's making another album for Nightwish. So I'm really happy about this. I think this interview is incredible. I'm excited to get back to part 2. So stay tuned. It's coming right now.
When did the idea of an album pop up? Was it from the start, or did it kind of gradually occur to you, well, we might as well do an album?
Well, I think we've been working on each other's projects throughout the years. Like, I mean, Tuomas has composed a song for my solo album, and he's come and played on one song, and vice versa. There's been this spirit of collaboration in the air, but we felt like we needed more. Like, what we wanted was to be let loose in music. Like, really go and explore the wilderness.
It was evident from the very beginning that there was going to be a physical piece of music, an album at some point.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. And we were lucky in that we have possibly the greatest record company that's ever lived.
That's true.
You know, to help us, because they never once said to us, "Oh, we've got to have it by then because we need to release it by then."
Right.
But they're the most open-minded record company in the world, the best record company in the world.
Is that Nuclear?
They just went, and they genuinely understood it, got it. You know, when we sent the music for them to listen to, they really loved it, but in a really lovely way, in a genuine way. It wasn't like, it's really good. And then, it was very nice. God, that's terrible. You didn't get the sense of that at all. You know, it was like, we really love this. We never had any pressure from the record company. We were allowed to do exactly what we wanted.
Which is so rare.
It's ultra rare in these days, because back in the
Please let me know what record label does Auri. I think it's Nuclear Blast. I could be completely wrong. So please let me know what record label they're talking about here that is so open-minded for this band. That's incredible.
Classic rock period of the 70s, record companies used to actually encourage artists to develop. So they would make a rotten album, but they wouldn't be instantly thrown out. They would go, we really believe in this band. So they'd make another album and they'd go, that's more like, that feels better. Those days are long gone. You know, they don't exist anymore. Now it's, how many did it sell? Nah, off, gone. You know,
it's all numbers.
So that spirit of true artistry in the record industry is alive and well in Nuclear Blast.
Nice, it is Nuclear Blast. I thought so. They're one of my favorite record label companies, with all the amazing bands and artists and projects that are with them. Hell yeah. It sounds like they're one of the best record labels out there.
Good to hear.
It is, though. It's true, isn't it?
Yes.
Completely true.
And in terms of the moods and themes, then, were you looking for something? Because you say you didn't have a deadline. Were you looking for certain feelings, certain emotions, certain tones?
It was all there. I mean,
it was.
Inspiration was there, the stories were there. And then it just, for some reason, stopped at 11 songs. Okay. And then we realized we have it.
Yeah, it did. It stopped at 11 songs.
Effortless, natural.
And the road that we went on to, we knew where we started. The end was obvious. But the up and down of the road that we go on, the emotional journey of it is really exciting.
Right.
You know, it goes from the most uplifting, bright, dark, melancholic, happy, everything, and then it ends up in this absolutely fantastic dance. You know.
Right.
I must say the most passion I'm getting out of these three is coming from Troy. I know all three of these people are extremely passionate about Auri, but the way that Troy is talking about Auri makes it feel like it's his it's his baby. Even though these two are with Troy, it's giving me that feeling, even though I know they all have, I'm not going to say equal parts into the production of making the music, because I'm sure it's different percentages every way, maybe for every song. But the way that Troy talks about Auri here makes me a believer, even if I haven't heard it already. And I like what he's saying about Nuclear Blast, that they listen to this music, and when I'm thinking Nuclear Blast, I'm thinking heavy metal. So for them to come in with this style of music with Auri, and Nuclear Blast isn't pushing them to go a different direction, even pushing them for a deadline, it really is letting these three flow so naturally. And I think that's what Nuclear Blast must have saw in them as a trio as well. Let's not rush this. It's already going to happen organically. And that's incredible. I love to know exactly what this album is called, and I'm sure we've heard a song from this album already, so please let me know in the comments below.
In the woods, it's quite a trip if you get on the right bus to go on the trip. It's really quite something. You've got to find the right bus though.
With that in mind, then, I want to look at maybe one or two songs a little bit more in depth, and a couple that stuck out for me was, for instance, Underthing Solstice.
Oh yeah.
So,
you see, and that's what I mean, that enthusiasm, all three of them are there, and then he brings up a song, and then look at Troy just fully embody it and just love it. He's like, yeah, that's the song I want to talk about.
It's an incense fused. It's like incense and sandstone for me, and it's something ancient breathing in the present.
The original version of that song was somewhat different. Actually, it was much more grandiose.
So it was.
It was more epic.
It was.
I never saw it being anything else. And then I remember him suggesting it, that how about let's go more medieval.
And candlelit.
Candlelit, more church organ.
Absolutely.
And immediately I knew. That's one of the beautiful things about this group. Immediately I knew, yeah. I wasn't offended at all.
No way, not a chance.
It's just a very telling thing. And now when I listen to it, that was the only way to do this song. But even though the chord patterns and the melodies are pretty much original, the overall atmosphere went pretty much tipsy-turvy.
Yeah, it did. It completely flipped itself into a. Yeah. Once we all felt that was the direction for it.
And what I love about this, for me, with my knowledge, is that Tuomas really is the mastermind behind Nightwish and really has most of the say on how everything comes together. Where it looks like Tuomas was saying, like, I didn't get offended when Troy's idea came and superseded maybe Tuomas's idea there, but the way that they're blending and not stepping on each other's toes, and it's not because like, hey, what you thought was bad, I just think this is going to work better. What do you think? And again, this is why I see Troy being the mastermind behind Auri more than I thought he was, because for me, I always thought it was Tuomas doing Auri and everything's coming out of his mind. So I'm really getting enlightened here.
That let's go candlelit and quite quiet in like an empty old sacred place with it, and let's see where we can take it from there. And
that's something that happened a lot during the mixing process. We actually muted a lot of things here and there.
Yeah, definitely.
How about let's take that away?
Yeah.
There was like the second chorus of "I hope my world is kind."
Absolutely.
Let's take all the keys away, and stuff like this all the time.
Again, now these things, if it wasn't Auri, there'd be conflict. Then there would be, because I know what it's like. Well, Tuomas knows. We all know what it's like.
Right.
So if it wasn't Auri, there would be conflict.
And that's exactly what I was saying. Like, there would have been conflict with all these minds clashing on how the songs, like, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, where this kitchen looks like they need all three cooks to produce the meal that we're all craving for.
The song Desert Flower.
Which we have heard, Desert Flower.
That went over. And...
we suggested
a whole section out of it.
Yeah.
It was a repeat. It was a repeat of a bridge, and I sent it over, and I remember I got an email saying, "Now, it might be a bit drastic. You might think it's a bit drastic, but I think it's really good." I went, oh, okay, I was like, oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. But I couldn't hear it any other way. Like Tuomas couldn't, you both couldn't hear Underthing. Other than a big, bombastic kind of thing. But Desert Flight was like, you can't cut that piece out, surely. But it was cut out and it made it perfect. It made it so much more perfect. And of course, there was no, I want to keep that in there.
No.
There was none of that because I knew it was right. And they knew it was right. We were right.
We were right.
So everything to service the song. In a sense.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Then, because you mentioned kind of the emotional roller coaster it takes, and melancholy, and another one that stuck out for me a little bit was Savant. So I wondered what kind of was the inspiration or the mood behind that one.
That's right. See, even there, they're looking at Troy. They can tell who's on fire right now. It's Troy. We're talking about Auri. This is giving me more inspiration and more love for Troy, where I didn't think I needed it, but this is showing his side where I thought I was going to see more of Johanna and Tuomas's connection, but I'm really seeing why Troy is just the best friend of everyone and how much joy this guy brings to anyone that he meets and gets to be a part of your life.
I think the clue might be in the title.
The clue is in the title, yeah.
Well-
You don't want to go too deep. And once somebody translates the poem in the end, that's another hint.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'm not sure if this is correct, but what it reminded me of was a James Horner soundtrack on A Beautiful Mind, which has a...
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a splendid film.
So, but can I assume then
I think
it's
you
kind
might
of...
be on the right tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, there are no
yeah.
right tracks, but I mean, you're on the tracks,
Yeah,
on the
you're-
same tracks as we were.
You're heading in the right
Making it.
direction.
Yeah,
No, I'll leave it alone then.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Then in terms
I
of
haven't
the...
heard that score. I haven't even seen that film.
It's good. It's a good
Yeah,
film.
it's quite
But
good.
James Horner, we love James Horner.
And in terms of the themes then, Johanna, I think I saw something on your Facebook where you wrote...
He is saying Johanna. I've been saying Johanna, so please let me know if it's Joe or Johanna.
This is a story, I have to remember it correctly, this is a story for the slightly broken people, which is a little bit by, I can't find the author anymore,
Patrick Rothfuss.
that's it.
Yeah.
But why this little quote?
I remember I used it on the booklet of my Christmas album a few years back after I'd read the book, The Slow Regard of Silent Things. And yeah, it really struck a chord in me. The way, I mean, what it says, that line, and what it means to me is that there is such beauty in imperfection in us all. And the way we are imperfect is sort of, you know, it's all about the journey, not the destination. And us being here and trying to figure out who we are and, you know, struggling at times. Like we can share that same brokenness. Like we've all been hurt by life and kissed by it as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. For me, that was just the quote I wanted to sort of incorporate. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful piece of literature that.
Right. And how did that, because it's about the King Killer Chronicles, how did it affect kind of the writing for this album?
It did a little bit. It's people have this misconception that this is like a full concept album of his
Right.
books, and couldn't be further from the truth. But there are a few passages in the lyrics, like the word "foxen," for example, or Underthing, that are inspired by his books.
But so it's not heavily inspired.
No, the 3 songs.
3 songs, yeah.
In that sense then, because, well, what you mentioned, is it and kind of your approach to this whole project, was that same as you mentioned, not trying to be too perfect, just giving it a go and seeing where you end up?
Well, it was not really.
And hey, we've all been there where we're all trying to do something. Even on this channel, y'all, I have such a hard time knowing exactly how to act on a camera all the time. Like, I don't want to just be monotone talking to you guys, so I try to bring my enthusiasm up. But I'm just such an imperfect person where I'm trying to sometimes seem like I'm perfect for you guys, where really I'm not. And some days I'm doing really bad, where I'll have a smile on the camera, but I don't want to show you guys all my pain and emotion all the time. But maybe you guys would like that more sometimes when I'm having a bad time, where I don't have to put on that face, where I can show you guys my imperfections and my struggles while going through this stuff. But also coming onto the camera knowing that I'm gonna have an interaction with you guys metally, it makes me more happy and brings out the smiles and brings out the enthusiasm that I have. But there is a beauty to the imperfections of people too. So I think I've shown you guys more of my true side on this channel as I've gone through like the year, now that we've been doing reactions for just a little over a year now. And these interviews really allow me to reflect a bit more on a personal level for you guys face to face. So it's just so encouraging to see what all three of these people are going through and getting inspired while making the music, and how much of music and literature inspires all of them the same way it has for me, and I'm sure for you guys as well. So let's finish off this amazing interview.
The way we instinctively work isn't really improvisational, so it was never let's give it a go and let's see which way the wind blows, as it were. Once these pieces of music started to formulate, they did drive themselves, but we were heavily involved. We were all heavily involved, and we were all placing the bricks in that make up the house. We were all building the thing as we went along. But we definitely had a destination sound,
right,
and a spirit to what we wanted. It was just a matter of collating everything and making it as close as possible to how we felt.
This is going to be maybe impossible to describe them, but what was that feeling, or what was that spirit?
It's impossible to describe.
Yeah. That's why we made this album, because we can't really put it in words.
No kidding, right?
But it's all locked in the music, and you can access it. It just depends.
And thanks for saying that, because sometimes, y'all, when we're reacting to music, like they just said, like, what are you thinking? It's like, well, like, it's more how am I feeling, and like I can't explain how I'm feeling sometimes. You guys have said in the comments so many times where we say something that unlocks what you were feeling about this song, and we just happen to say it in a way that now you can at least tell people how you're feeling. But so many times, y'all, where I'm not very abstract in my thinking, where I need Alanna to come and help me to interpret how the feeling of this song is, other than just the music is badass. And that's why it's nice to just see them, that sometimes they can't even describe the music that they made themselves, and like what spirit and what feeling they were feeling, because it really is unsaid. That's why music is the language spoken around the world, where we all can communicate through it, and you just understand and know. It's like knowing someone, you can kind of look at them and nod and kind of understand what they mean by that, where if you're not close to someone, sometimes you got to yell to get your point across, right?
On your approach to it.
Well, let me rephrase it then. Sorry for
Okay, yeah.
What do you want people to take away from listening to the album back to front, or front to back?
I hope that people are able to dissolve themselves and everything they are, and take a little trip while listening to the album.
Just for a little while, dissolve themselves and disappear for a while.
Remember that there's still mystery left in this world.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, there sure is.
Very
mystery.
last question then: is that a difficult thing in this day and age with so much information, social media? Is the mystique? Is
there's
that
so much noise.
There is.
There's so much noise, and what I mean.
There's so much noise. Oh my god. There it is. That's when noise was created, y'all. The thought of noise. I love that song from the Human Nature album. Oh, I love when Floor is screaming that. That is so cool that's what he starts talking about there. I love it.
Day and age with so much information, social media. Is the mystique?
There's so much noise. There's so much noise, And what I mean by noise is not necessarily loud music,
No.
but vain stuff and vain music, vain commentary, dialogue,
Yeah.
Terrible
music
negative,
competitions,
yeah,
all that
everything,
nonsense.
Terrible information constantly being thrown at us.
Yeah, so
Negative information
Yes.
masquerading itself as important, masquerading as somehow authoritative, and all the time this noise, all the time. And Auri is for us an antidote to that noise. And I think it gets to the core of Auri that actually that's just been revealed to me now.
Wow.
That it is an antidote to noise.
It's an antidote to noise.
For me and for us, I'm sure. Well, for
Wow.
all
that's
of
a
us.
good way of putting it.
It is.
Wow, an antidote to noise. That is perfect how to explain Nightwish and Ari's music. Wow.
So hopefully it'll be an antidote for noise.
That's what we wanted to create, because noise in itself is really inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes you want to push for
It does.
doing music album.
Yeah, it does.
Music like this.
Again, a lovely, an ingenious paradox, as Gilbert and Sullivan said.
Incredible.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. So
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. It was
Thank
lovely.
you.
Really lovely.
That was a lovely, lovely interview from Face Culture there, as you could see that gentleman in the corner. And I'm really happy, and I'm considering myself, just when I'm doing these interviews with people, to just have their face on, because I don't think people really want to see our face when these amazing artists come on for the interviews. But oh my God, I'm nowhere near being like famous or anything like that, but now that I'm on YouTube as a social media influencer, reactor, whatever you want to call it, I'm getting a lot more noise from comments about how fake we are, and this and that. And I know I made a post recently about getting upset about the noise that I was hearing from these comments. We even got one today where someone was calling Alanna and I fake as well, together on one of our Slayer reactions. And for us, like, you guys know me, you guys know Alanna, we are not fake. We say it how it is, and we try to act as it happens. That's what reactions are. It's a form of acting, y'all. It's being in the moment, hearing it and saying it how it is, while I'm still trying to perform entertainment that you guys are going to want to stick around. I do want to have that connection with you guys. So I think that's so cool of a way. I hope all music is trying to be an antidote to all the noise and the naysayers and those people in your life that are trying to bring you down. Even just like they're saying, all these music competitions and how many likes can you get? How many albums has it sold? You know, like it goes so many ways. Like, y'all, if I wanted this channel to just blow up subscribers wise, I would just do every single trending video. We don't do that here. As you guys know, as soon as you met me, I thoroughly enjoyed diving into a band 100% full discography mode. That's why we're doing Nightwish so damn hard. That's why we've fallen in love with the members. That's why we've fallen in love with the supporters of the Nightwish army. And that's why it's so cool to see this type of an interview with these three amazing people that had such good chemistry, such good flow. This is one of the best interviews I've seen with multiple people, because that's a really hard thing to do. That's a hard one to juggle, to keep all three entertained. As you can see, usually one starts dominating the interview, like Tuomas was. I mean, not Tuomas, like Troy was there. Troy was answering a lot with the full enthusiasm and just kind of having some backup vocals from Tuomas and Johanna. So I just think that's incredible, and also gives me reflection on all the noise that Alanna and I have to deal with. We get thousands of comments. Like, I don't think you guys, if I showed you how many comments we get in this channel, you probably would not even understand that it's that much. So like, yeah, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of good noise though. And I'm happy that Tuomas ended it by saying, like, at the end of the day, noise can be amazing if it's brought together the correct way. And Nightwish and Auri really does that for me. And I'm sure it does for you guys. I love these type of interviews. Please let me know in the comments below if you want to see more of these type of interviews. I love what Troy has to say, not gonna lie. I love to get more into what his thoughts are. He seems like a really intelligent man, and I'd love to interview him specifically as well as Tuomas, of course. So if you guys want those guys to be interviewed, even Johanna, please let me know in the comments below. I'm looking to see who I should reach out to for our next interview. If you haven't checked our last interview, please check out that Marcella one. That is why I'm kind of doing these on my own without Alanna when she's busy with the baby doing her own things. This gives me something more than just giving you guys entertainment. This is a way that I can learn how to interview better, how to learn these people better, and I think you guys are learning all that as well with me. So thank you for being here. Let me know if you are here by hitting that like button, and subscribe if you are new to the Enter the Chronic family, because we are now exiting the rabbit hole. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. It means more than you think. Peace and love. God bless y'all.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Enter the Chronicness.
Special thanks to all of our YouTube, Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee members. Thank you for all of your support.